with, I suppose. I've got no problem driving to Sydney today, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.
Unreal.
Yeah. I think the most recent one, I went to Sydney Tattoo Show. What was that? 13th, 14th, 15th of March, with the guys from Num Num Tattoo Spray, new locally made Gold Coast product. Really aimed at giving you more time in the chair when you're getting tattooed and stuff, and both the guys I went with, my mate Driz, who's the owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, and one of their sponsored artists, Jack. I don't even know if Jack drives. I didn't ask him. He's only a young fella. And I just said to him, we got a lot of kilometres to do. How well do you travel? And the pair of them were like, really need to stop for a ciggy. Need to stop for a drink and a piss. And I'm like, well, I hope you can work that in with my fuel stops, lad, because I don't really stop.
Yeah, it's fuel.
And to the point where even like my mum rings Driz and goes, has he stopped yet? I'm like, no, I haven't stopped yet, Mum. They can wait. But
it's always a fuel. Let me guess. I did it for years, man. Towing a Formula Ford trailer too. It just
so you know how nice and slow that is, hey?
Oh yeah, and you get to know, like in your mind, you're like, there's 3 hours to go. That's not too bad. Like you think, 3 hours is nothing when you're driving like 20 hours to Melbourne.
I've actually got a point now where I've just like, I know I'm going somewhere, and I don't care how long that time is. I just know I'll be there before I stop.
Right.
So I don't even think about the time anymore.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. Like, I mean, I think Driz said the last time he went for a road trip to Sydney was when he was 7. Right. And I don't think Jack had done more than 1 or 2 in his adult life, So, someone like me who, like I used to do them every 10,000 Ks every 6 weeks at one point. So,
yeah, right. Let me tell you this story, man. This is really, and I wanted to finish it for if anyone listens to these podcasts, right? Something huge has happened. You'll appreciate how crazy this is. My wife's Japanese, right? In her neighborhood back in Iwato, near Yokosuka in Japan, right?
North or south? It's
south of Tokyo.
Right, cool.
Right? So, anyway, this lady got onto my wife to say, hey, we've never really met, but we're from the same suburb, and I know your mum, blah, blah, blah. We're coming to Australia, and we're going with our nephew. There's actually 4 adults in the car, the nephew and his wife, and this lady and her best friend, and a little 7-year-old boy. We're coming to Australia, and it's the nephew's plan. We're going to drive everywhere. Guess what they've done in 10 days? As soon as they landed, they got a Toyota Camry or something without a GPS. No, they just got in this Camry, drove to Alice Springs, right, with camping gear. Then they drove the next day. His plan is to do 1,000 kilometres every day by car and swap between this lady and him. The first day, she hits a red kangaroo, wipes the bumper bar off. Yep. She's frightened now, so she doesn't drive. So he's going to drive. They went to Alice Springs, looked around, take some photos, drove to Cooper Pedy in South Australia.
Wow.
Drove to Brisbane, and they only didn't have a GPS or anything.
So it doesn't sound like it was a round trip.
No, they got to Brisbane.
It's just like, let's go there.
No. But he just said, we're going to go to Brisbane, then we're going to drive to Cairns, stay there for 6 hours, and then drive back to Sydney. They're on a plane today. So I've been sort of keeping updates on this nutcase. Actually, I said to my wife, I said, man.
So they've just been renting cars and a little bit of flying?
No flying at all.
Just all driving?
In like 6 days. They were going to go to Cairns, but they had one of those huge Barneys travelling. They got to Sunshine Coast, and that's when it all fell apart. The ladies are like, it's 20 hours to Cairns. We're not going to drive to Cairns with you anymore. Come on, we're doing it. And because in 3 days they had to be in Sydney to get on a plane to Japan.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, man. And so they had a Barney in Sydney. And
it's like I've done the drive to Cairns plenty of times, and you don't want to do it in one stint. It's just not, on your own, it's not humanly possible.
Yeah. No, it's right.
Like I can do it where I drive until I'm tired and I pull over at a rest spot, have a few hours sleep until I wake up, drive again until I'm tired and do it like that. And it still takes me 2 solid days.
Yeah.
And you're flogged by the time you get there. You're better off to take 3 or 4 days and actually see some stuff on the way because it's a rad part of the country too.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, that's just gnarly.
Man.
Just the list of places they've already been before they decided that they were going to drive to Cairns.
Poor adults in a car.
Oh,
But
a
dangerous.
kid too.
But dangerous.
Oh.
Like, think of
how far would you drive in Japan? It's not very far for most people, is it?
No. Yeah, I don't know. It's like you can probably drive.
Or you catch a
6
train.
hours. Oh, yeah. So this was a pretty, looking back, they'll probably have a great time. But they did
Talk
survive.
about stories and adventure.
I wanted to say they did make it. I was telling my wife, you've got to get there. You've got to give them your local number, because we know people. Anything could happen. Imagine if you pull over for the trick. Oh, I'm broken down. You're a Japanese tourist. Oh, you pull over to help these people. Next minute, your car's stolen. Your wallet's, you know what I mean? Someone's taken your car.
You're not painting a very good picture of regional Australia there, Drew.
No, but you know the one. Or as I put it to her, I said, if you were you, Leigh, and you've been around the country a million times, if you were to drive to Alice Springs tomorrow, you'd load your car up, right? Am I not? You'd have a spare of everything for a start, GPS, you'd have torches, all that gear.
Yeah. Or the other one like is the RSCQ Ultra Care.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's
right.
been my saviour many a time around the country. And I'm still astounded by people that don't have it on their chick's car.
Yeah.
Fair enough, a bloke can handle most stuff.
Yep.
No offence to the ladies out there, but you're not really good with cars. And it's way easier just to call someone to change a flat when it's pissing with rain.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're in a ditch. You're parked on the side of the highway and there's no spot.
Where was my last one? Let me think. Side of the highway, just south of Taree, pouring with rain. Probably one of the biggest storms I've ever driven from Sydney to Brisbane in. And it was raining pretty much the whole way from Sydney to Brisbane. It was evil. And I got a flat tire in the middle of nowhere. But you know what? Call the Ultra.
Yeah.
You just kick back in the... actually, I ended up getting out of the car and putting a jacket on and standing off in the bush because the trucks were that close. Wow. It was just like, yeah, this isn't the smartest thing I could do sitting in the car. So I went and stood in the rain instead and waited for him to come.
Wow.
But it pays to belong, they say. And over the years, I've definitely proven that.
I had a Formula Ford race. I did 1 year racing the Australian Formula Ford circuit, right? And my mechanic was in Sydney, right? So we had this huge, 4-wheel trailer, and I had a big F-250 ambulance pulling this trailer.
Yep.
It was ridiculous, but you couldn't stop it. It was so heavy. It had a crane in the back of this trailer. So the ambulance wasn't big enough, but did it anyway. Anyway, I washed. I said I was living on the Gold Coast. In Surfers. Said to my girlfriend, so I'm going down to Car Lovers at Bundle or wherever. Anyway,
out the back there.
Going to wash the tyres at 10 o'clock the night before because I was leaving at 4 a.m. to get on the road all day to go to Sydney to pick up this bloke. Guess what I did? Driving in to wash this trailer. I didn't even need to wash it. I was just sort of feeling so prepared.
Little nervous energy the night before.
Yeah, this thing had low profile tyres. I popped 3 tyres, two on one side and one on the other. Right, the night before. Anyway, it dropped. Long story short, I drove all the way to Melbourne, but spat off. Actually, bent the axle when I did that. But it kept spitting off wheels. These are big steel rimmed wheels. Yeah. I'd get to the service station at Wyong. Right? Where's the wheel? I could have killed someone, man. Like 100-kilometre-an-hour steel wheel. And I did it 3 times. I had had to buy 2 spares. Then one melted. One didn't spit off, but it melted into the hub at Goulburn. So I just skull dragged it all the way to Goulburn. Just knocked on some dude's door who had a shed. Said, "Mate, can I use some power?" I had all my grinders and everything. I had to grind the spare wheel. And then I just said, "Stuff it." I drove 3 wheels all the way to the Australian Grand Prix and home. I had the shits, mate. Oh yeah,
that's so funny,
mate. It's so tiring. And you know how you say you pull up at a rest stop and you have a sleep in your van. I find it really hard to sleep in the same thing that you've been driving in. It's like all the smells and the sounds are still in your ears.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
I think that's probably the benefit
no-dos and the, you know what I mean? And all the Red Bull cans and all that horrible crap.
I think once upon a time I am still a massive fan of Red Bull, but we won't go down that story. I think once upon a time I had that problem, but I don't tend to drive like that anymore. I mean, You saw me today. I showed up with my fruit in hand. Yeah. There goes all my rock and roll credentials.
No, I'm all for it.
So I travel a lot differently, and because I've got the van so sweetly set up for camping for, like when we go out to remote communities and stuff and getting around the coastline and that, Yeah, it's quite easy just to crawl in the back where it's comfortable and have a couple of hours. It's good.
Yeah.
Mind you, there is a lot of sound deadening back there too. So
Cool.
yeah, but
I was towing this trailer. It was because of an ambulance. The bottom was a plywood floor, so
yeah,
I was dragging it up. If you go the Toowoomba Range
Yeah,
to go
yeah.
the back way to
Yep.
the Sydney or whatever, it got so hot that it burnt like a bit of a hole in this floor. So for the next 2 years, my ambulance smelt like this charcoal, dead people. So this funny smell, man. And
charcoal
just,
and
I
dead
drive
people?
to Melbourne and go, oh, just so. They were good times, mate.
But it's
million road stories.
Stories from the road like that bring us all together, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, all the same stops, all the same, getting to know
Which servos do a good
and
feed, where the clean showers are.
Yeah, and respecting truckies.
Oh, it wasn't until I got my truck license that I actually really grew another whole level of respect for those guys that do that for a job, I was like, the amount of things that you see when you're driving a truck, and I very rarely drive one, is enough to go, wow, imagine having that all day, every day.
Yeah.
You'd be off it. So.
You get so scared when you see someone stop 200 meters in front of you. You go, I've got like 30 tons of crap.
And I've got to make it stop.
You can't stop. You can't. So you constantly have this fear coming up to going through Ballina, coming up to the roundabouts.
Yep.
What's going on here? It's raining. Like all that's, man, it's frightening
So happy
stuff.
they got rid of that. The Ballina bypass is definitely one of my new favourite sections of road.
Mr. Big Prawn, but
yeah. You know
move
what?
it, man.
The seafood at the Big Prawn got shitty.
Oh yeah, was it ever any good?
Yeah. Oh well, I don't know. Maybe it was just because I was a grommet and I was always keen on surfing down that way, and I've got a lot of fond memories from the Big Prawn and the seafood shop. I don't know, but yeah, I think. Excuse me. Later in life, I just really went, wow, this is shit. Why did I think so much of the Big Prawn?
Because you just drove for 4 hours straight.
Yeah.
That's why, man.
But, I think that's another skill of dudes that spend a lot of time on the road. You know where your shortcuts are, and you know where the good food is, and you know where the clean toilets are, and you know where the welcoming stops are. I've got a lot of friends dotted all up and down the east coast of Australia that I've met over the years, and snowboarding and stuff. And if you really got the shits and feel like pulling up, there's a few spots. It's good.
Yeah. Did you ever do this? That one of those times I actually drove back to Melbourne. I drove back to Melbourne non-stop because every time I stopped, I couldn't sleep. I found myself going, man, I've been lying here. And it was because of stupid things like Red Bull and no-dos. Like in those days, all these products came about.
Yeah.
And you'd think that was going to help you, but then you realise, hang on a minute, I can't actually rest.
No.
So I remember a truck and all. I mean, I was only in this same situation. I just told you the ambo and that thing, but I remember getting past the Port Macquarie servo. There was a shell servo or something. Yeah. And tried to sleep, couldn't. So I kept driving, and then I remember going. This is my nearest. I'd never fall asleep at the wheel ever, but this is my one story of being delirious with sleep. Actually going, oh man, I'm just. It's only like 3 hours to the next thing. I can make it. What I'll do, I'll just close my eyes and just rest my eyes. And I remember going, and then sleepy my eyes again. I rest my eyes again. I'm going, whoa, dude, what are you doing? It was actually one of them moments.
Full close, eh?
Yeah, like really.
Yeah, no, that's no good, eh?
I know someone.
I remember a friend of mine, Swano, used to play the sleepy game, and it was one eye at a time while he was driving home when he was tired. And yeah, he woke up in the middle of the highway on the way home from Byron one night, just fully out of control and sideways in his little mini truck, just going, whoa, fuck, that was close, and managed to get back on the highway and get home. And he was just like, I will never, ever play the sleepy game again.
Wow.
And it was that story that keeps me there, As soon as I get that little drowsy eye, bugger it, I'll pull over.
You just remind me of the time Mudgy and I went to Byron. You're talking about Mudgy before. And we went to Byron, and he just took off at like 4 a.m. to get home. He fell asleep at the wheel.
Oh.
I got woken up at the Byron Bay Caravan Park by him, and he got a taxi driver to drive him all the way back home because he fell asleep at the wheel, fell off the huge embankment and got caught up on the side of the road. But he had a gas tank, and this thing was running on gas. So when we drove, I'm like, damn, dude. Because we had 2 cars, funnily enough, right? So I drove all the way back out to his thing. There was a fire truck. We stopped like 100 metres before it went. There's cops. We're still half full, right? Cops and fire brigade, because the thing's going, we can hear